or what are SPRS scores?
SPRS scores. We can certainly answer that, and it's a very common question that we get all the time. There's a lot of confusion between a number of different programs and laws, some of them that kind of like interrelate with. Yeah, unfortunately, it can be a little bit confusing, but we can provide some clarity, and we'll probably do a future video deep diving a little bit more into some of the history of the SPRS scores and other related programs that associate with them. But as far as SPRS, it stands for Supplier Performance Risk System. And if you're a defense contractor in 2025, you're probably already familiar with the SPRS system. Many contracts, and most, as I understand, require you to go in and submit an SPRS score, what's supposed to be a self-assessment of your implementation of the NIST Special Publication 800-171. Now, just to give a brief history of these SPRS scores, to give you an update of how they relate to CMMC today in December of 2025, is back in 2017, the DFARS 252.204.7012 clause came out, which required the implementation of NIST Special Publication 800-171. This was back in the 2017 timeframe. As you can imagine, their actual compliance with the requirement was fairly low when it's just the DoD out there saying, hey folks, you guys got to comply with this NIST special publication for your cybersecurity and in your IT systems. All good? And as you can imagine, most contractors, all good, sure thing. Yeah. Just accepted the contracts and such. Then, in an effort to add an enforcement mechanism, they released a DFARS 252.204.7019 clause in 2020 timeframe, and then also a 7020 clause in also the 2020 timeframe. I know that's a lot of clauses and numbers, but you don't have to worry about them. But anyway, these newer DFARS clauses were meant to increase the reporting mechanism for this by making the requirement for SPRS. So now the DoD was like, hey, now you don't just have to do it because we told you to, but now we both told you to, and you need to self-report yourself in the SPRS system, affirming that you implemented the NIST 171 and all of its associated security standards into your information system. Contractors started taking it a little bit more seriously, like, oh man, now I have to do an actual, I affirm in SPRS, and the DoD is not going to give me this contract unless I affirm and give a SPRS score. Now, the thing about it then is that it was actually permissive to give a less than perfect SPRS score. Those were acceptable. POEMs were acceptable. You could actually give yourself a pretty low score, and that was acceptable as per the DoD, because you could have these things called POEMs, plans of action and milestones. Essentially, we're going to take care of it later. We're working on it, but we implemented the rest. The DoD found, and it's pretty much as expected, is that SPRS self-reporting is very low accuracy, low fidelity. Anytime that the DoD has done audits on companies like, hey, you said you have 110, which is a perfect SPRS score in SPRS, like, a great job if you really do, but let's take a look in an audit to see if you actually do. And many companies were coming up with negative scores. It's almost like being in college and like, hey, report yourself on like how well you did in that project you did. Oh, 100%. I did perfect. I knocked it out of the park. And then the instructor comes and does an audit of your project and you score like a 15, Yeah. So there was a lot of that happening. Some of it was just due to human error and to the fact that many of these contractors were not cybersecurity or compliance specialists. So, even the ability to assess effectively an organization's cybersecurity posture is a very specialized skill. So there was a lot of human error that led to vastly inaccurate scores. In fact, probably 99% of scores out there were not accurate, of the self-reported SPRS scores. Some of them completely, absolutely inaccurate. And then there was some that were straight up fraudulent, where the company knew that they weren't doing anything, but it still knowingly lied about it and said that they got a max score. And some companies that have done that in the last several years have gotten into some pretty big trouble with the DoD via the False Claims Act. Many have had to, you can look up the news articles. It's happened to several, from their self-reporting. Where they found that the company's leadership was saying, no, we're not perfect yet, but just go ahead and stick the perfect score because they want to see that win the contract. And it's unfortunately not good to do that. But yeah, so that's what the SPRS system is. So let's fast forward now to 2025 to December, and really as far back as last month, November 10th, when the phase 1 of the CMMC implementation started. Now, CMMC is meant to be the true enforcement mechanism for the implementation of these cybersecurity standards. For most companies that are out there requiring CMMC Level 2 that handle CUI, store, process, and transmit CUI, these companies are going to require not just a self-affirmation that, hey, yeah, I reported on myself and I'm telling you that I did it. They're going to require an audit by a third-party assessor, such as myself, that works for a C3PAO, which are the organizations that conduct these assessments. And they're going to have this assessor that doesn't work for them, is a very strict, and he's going to look through all of their documentation, all of their IT systems, all of their evidence. He's going to interview their employees and validate that 100% of those controls are met in order to get the official CMMC Level 2 certification. So no longer are the days of, yeah, I did it, self-report on myself. That's not the vision for CMMC, and CMMC is meant to be the high accuracy, from the DoD's perspective of actually implementing these standards. Here's the small little catch, though. If you look at the DoD CIO website right now, they are not completely going away from SPRS. They are still retaining SPRS as one of the reporting mechanisms. But whenever you get CMMC Level 2 compliant and you get your official CMMC Level 2 certification, they still want contractors to go into the SPRS system and now submit an accurate, perfect score on there. So that's still an expectation, and heck, we've gone through the process with a number of companies for this. You get your official CMMC Level 2 assessment, and first off, congratulations, you passed the third-party audit. Let's continue all the work, continue the performance of those standards, and next thing you gotta do is go into SPRS still and self-report on yourself a perfect score as per the CMMC Level 2 requirement. So I hope that brings a little bit of clarity on where SPRS currently is, how it came to be, and how it relates right now in the world of CMMC. We'll do a further call and take to get more in depth into some of the other different programs that also relate to this.
Christian, thanks for explaining that. That's first. I didn't realize there's that much build-up history, going back 7-8 years that led to this, and then it was a follow-on action. So I think that helps, because that wasn't just a 2025 or 2024 thing. That was way left of it, and there's a reason why it came. And you mentioned too that official certification. I just have to imagine we're in phase 1, and I'll do some research, but I just have to imagine that once we're past phase 1, that official assessment's probably going to be a requirement to bid into whatever work it is that you're doing. I would expect that would be some sort of prerequisite to get into eligibility for bids.
And if you're a contractor out there and you're trying to figure out this whole CMMC requirement, the different components of the law, what all you have to do, whether a practice is being adequately met by your organization, give us a call and schedule a free consultation. We'll talk to you. We'll walk through the requirements of your organization with you. Potentially, if we're a good fit for one another, it'd be an honor for us to help you in your CMMC journey and get you CMMC Level 2 compliant and certified, whenever you're ready for that assessment. We'd love to have that conversation with you.